Hello, welcome to another PJ and Dunkley. I'm the horse racing correspondent Anthony Dunkley. Once again, delighted to be joined by the 4-time Naps champion Paul Jacobs. How's it going, Paul?
It's great, and this is one of my favourite National Hunt weekends of the whole season.
It's almost too much, isn't it? There's just so much good racing going on. Fantastic. We're going to be focusing on two of them. There's the Beachy Chase at Aintree, a Grand National pointer, if you will, and of course the Tingle Creek, which is one of the very few top-class 2-mile chase races there are in the season. Let's jump straight into the Beachy Chase, Paul. There are a fair few of these who you could say have a chance. I've tipped a couple who definitely go over the fences. Let's start with Chance de Roy, the Antipost favourite. Philip Hobbs is charged. He did well in this last year. He won it by length, and he comes back here off a 6-time high mark.
Do you know what? We could talk about 10 of these and probably not get the winner, and he's one of them. Won it last year, higher mark as you say, goes well when fresh, didn't last home in the Grand National, so we know he jumps the fences. Philip Hobbs' team continuing good form despite what I thought was a bit of a blip last week, but he turned it around at the weekend, and you know I couldn't put anybody off him. I think he's got a major chance.
Yeah, he's very, very good over these fences, which you of course need, and he did run well in the National, which is probably just the extra mile really that beat him. Talk to me about Our Father, because we've been talking about this horse in the office. His form figures, if you were to look at them, you think, how is he 14-1? There's no chance, but he was 11-2 off a higher mark favourite for the Hennessy last year.
Yeah.
And he just, or maybe a horse who just hasn't found his form yet.
£11 higher mark. Do you remember last year? It was like this almighty gamble on Our Father on good ground for the Hennessy, and I for one didn't get it. I didn't understand it because throughout his short career, David Piper's always says, he goes well when fresh. I think that was basically the reason behind the gamble. But he wants given the ground, and he wants plenty of given the ground. And thereafter, he didn't really jump a twig. He was unlucky to be unseated in the National. I think his leather broke on his stirrups. And obviously, there are 3 horses in this race who are really well weighted on their best form. He is one of them, major chance. Highland Lodge, who finished 4th in last year's Hennessy. I think he's £11 lower. He's got a major chance. He's had a pipe over at Chepstow. So Emma Lavelle's horses have needed a run to get them straight, so I think he'll go well. And the other one actually there are another 2, I've just seen another one. Saint R is very well handicapped on his Aintree form. He's finished 9th behind Aurora's Encore in the National 2 years ago. He's got a major chance. And Alfie Spinner is a horse that just drives me mad. He should have won a big race like this before. He's off literally a career low mark of 128. He's run really well in the Welsh National as well, and the Badger Ale since then. And he again has run 2 really good races in his last 2 outings. Now, I can't second guess Nick Williams in the stable that sort of got out of the spotlight in the past 24 months or so. But I've got a feeling he's aimed him specifically at this race, and I think he'll run a big race as well. And then further up at the top of the handicap, Mendip Express is a real big, strong horse who won a novice hurdle on his comeback. The second has won since, so he's substantiated the form, and he gets on really well with Will Biddick, who many people think, it's an amateur rider riding the national fences, but he's ridden this horse regularly before, and I think this is a bonus. He claims £3 off him as well, so I think he's got a major chance as well. And you could go down and give 3 or 4 other chances to other horses in the race, but those are the ones I'd be honing in on. I've actually backed Mendip Express each year. I backed him at the beginning of the week at 16-1. And I backed him for a place.
Very glad to hear you say that, Paul. I think he's the standout for me.
Okay.
If we remember, he was 9-1 co-favourite for the National, for the Scottish National last year. He threw in a shocker, just wasn't having it that day.
Yeah, end of a hard season. Probably didn't want any more racing, to be honest.
Prior to that, he'd won 3 on the bounce. He put in a bit of a shocker at Newbury, but that was the heavy ground by the Smad place. That was just an awful day, wasn't it? And yeah, his comeback novice hurdle win against the Tourard man was very promising. He never looked in doubt. The Tourard man's come out this week and won at Southwell, won at Warwick, sorry. I think he looks like he has a really good chance. The rider, of course, claiming 3. knows how to win a big race. He won the Festival Plate in 2009, so he's not one who's going to bulk under the pressure. That's always a worry.
He's a good horseman.
It's a worry with me with amateur riders in these bigger races. And he's down to 144 as well. So if you take into account the weight off his current form, I think he has a major chance.
But he's off 141 in reality, which means he's got the same. He's the same horse as Chance de Roy and Just the Par, and he's not. He's a better horse than those two.
Well, there you go.
Simply.
And that was the Beecher Chase. It's a fascinating race. Can't wait to watch that. I love watching his race over the national fences. Be also very, very interested in the Sefton. It was a bit of a better betting heat. Right, now we move on to the Tingle Creek, and we have to start by saying that the two big guns on here, this is a very weak renewal pool.
Yeah, there probably isn't a proper Grade 1 horse in here, and how sad that Sprinter Sakura is not in, and Gary Moore's horse as well, who was just a revelation last year, wasn't he? And I found it really hard writing an anti-post column on this. I was surprised that Paul Nicholls has let Hinterland and also Dodging Bullets take their chance, and he must be absolutely praying that the next 48 hours, because we're recording this on Thursday, is totally dry, because they both need better ground than this. The ground at the moment is described as soft. Hinterland bled first time out in the Haldon Gold Cup. He's got the hood on for the first time. And I actually had a really big each way bet on him in the Champion Chase in March. And you remember what happened? He was sailing on down the back straight. I'm not saying he would have won, but he was going so easily. Everything else apart from the favourite was under the cosh, and he got brought down after the fifth fence that day. But the problem is he's bled since, and that's a huge worry to me. I'm sure Paul wouldn't let him take his chance unless he thought he would. I think God's Own, despite being £7 worse off with Border 6C on his Haldon Gold Cup, I think he'll beat him. I'm worried slightly about where the pace is going to come from, but I'm hoping maybe Barry Geraghty might let Oscar Whiskey bowl along in front, because he stays a bit further than this. And Vukovar maybe as well, because I think 2 miles even around Sandown will be too sharp. And I'm hoping that God's Own doesn't make an absolute Horlicks of the fourth last that he did at Exeter, and he still came through, but he won really easily.
Well, he's a battler, isn't he?
Well, I read one of the reports and said he won workmanlike. I thought he won going away. I thought he was really strong at the finish. And he's very lightly raced over fences, and there's loads more to come from him. And I still prefer him on £7 worse terms than Border 6C. And I honestly think he's an each way bet to nothing at 4-1.
How much can you take the Haldon Gold Cup at face value, considering the weight pull and considering Border 6C doesn't go as well first time out as maybe God's Own?
Well, I don't know. I just think Border 6C is a horse that maybe has reached his potential as young as he's 6 years old. He's had a lot more runs over fences than God's Own. God's Own's literally thoroughly unexposed. And I know Alan King's stable are in good form, but Tom George's horses are in really good nick as well. And I think this horse, if the big two don't turn up at the Champion Chase in March, I think he's a potential champion chaser in their place. I really do.
And still technically a novice as well. He was entered in the Henry VII until this was so weak he had the opening he needed.
So there's more to come from him. I'm hoping that he takes to the fences at Sandown. There's quick runner fences down the far side, then the 3 railway fences. But I think if he puts in a clean round, I'd be very surprised if he's not in a shout at the finish.
Definitely, Paul. I have to say, as much as I do love a scrap at the head of the market with two going for it, I'm going to look for some value. Summersby at the moment at 9-1. Of course, he's a bridesmaid these days. I mean, last season he was second in this, 4 lengths behind Sardagruji, 6 lengths behind Sardagruji in the Champion Chase. Was beaten out of sight in the Haldon Gold Cup, but then was second to the very promising Alfaroff over a distance that I don't think is what he wants. It was 3 furlongs more than it's going to be now here. And he's proven at the top level. He's 10 now, so we're taking this a bit on face value that he's going to be all right for this. But he's already had some racing. He's a course and distance winner. I think 9-1. I think he could sneak into the 3. He's just going to need to put in a performance that he knows how to put into.
Yeah, one of my favourite horses.
Well, he's a lovely horse, isn't he? Right, we're going on to reflections in running. And we're going to start off with Very Good Day, Paul. The handicap has shown some kindness.
Yeah, at last. I mean, here's a horse who's running all the top staying handicaps on the flat in the past couple of years. And you look back through his form, he ran off a mark of 93 and aimed to Prosper Cesarewicz, where he finished 13th of the 34 runners. But before that, he won a really good handicap at York off a mark of 85 and has been placed a couple of times off mark in the 80s. And in the last year or so, his form has plummeted. So much so, he dropped to 77 when he ran at Wolverhampton earlier in the week, when he was second to Rollestone last. He won very, very easy, to be fair. But it was great to see him running on strongly at the end. You know, Tony Hamilton pushed him out all the way to the line, and he stayed and he stayed and he stayed. So 2 pluses. One, that tells us he can win off 77. He may go up £1 for that. And 2, he acts on the Tapita, which is a great plus.
Yeah.
Opens up a lot more opportunities during the winter. There's some nice prizes at Wolverhampton in the winter period, and I think he'll win a race off 77. I think there's no doubt about it, where there's a pace on in the race.
Especially as there's more emphasis on the all-weather championships now. There's more races being created, which can only be a good thing.
Yeah.
There was a race at Southall on Tuesday. It was Ballymote. Pretty much, it turned out to be Ballymote v Gold Ingot, and came down to Jonathan England just outriding Andy Thornton.
Well, I have to say I am, to a certain extent, people say talking from my pocket. I backed Gold Ingot, and I actually napped him as well. I thought this was a perfect opportunity.
It really was. It really was.
It was just the perfect opening, Dunkers, you know. And they were going down the back stretch, and you know how sharp Southall is. Once you get a beat on someone, it's hard to pull it back. And all credit to Jonathan England, who took the bull by the horns on Ballymote, and just before the last fence on the far side, he kicked his mount into it. And then, when he came down the other side, he didn't sit on him, because he was still going well. He gave him a backhander, and he started pushing him out. Thought, this is where I'm going to win the race. And Andrew Thornton was just a little bit slow in recognising that. And once they'd begun the wind-up for home, turning for home, only then did he press the trigger on Gold Ingot. But he was 10 lengths down, and in the end he lost by 8 lengths. And I thought this was an opportunity of 115 after his really good run at Doncaster for Gold Ingot to win. And maybe he needs a bit further than 2.5 miles, but I thought that Jonathan England basically outrode Andrew Thornton. Gold Ingot will win this season, but for me it was a missed opportunity.
I think it was. I think it may have also come down to the fact that Gold Ingot was far more fancied in the race. Ballymote, not so much. I think Andy Thornton maybe just underestimated that Jonathan England could steal a march on him.
Could be.
Right. There was a slow start for Foie Gras at Kempton on Wednesday. You think he's better than that, though?
Yeah, I thought this was quite a good race for the level, and it was only a Class 6 handicap, so you've got to bear that in mind. But New Rich was winning his 3rd C&D win off a mark of 58. Compton Prince is tried and trusted there. Spoarticus had won a sort of similar contest at Wolverhampton, but won it really well the time before. And Foie Gras finished 6th, beaten round about 4.5 lengths. But he's better than that. He's won off this mark before. He's essentially got a really good record at Kempton Park. He's a horse I really like at this level, but he was very slowly away under Conor Beasley, who didn't really overface him in the closing stages. Because basically he's obviously said to himself, you know what, there'll be another day.
Yeah.
There'll be another day for this horse. He just rode him out to the line as you have got to. You can't be seen to be coasting in like Richard Hughes. And he rode him out all the way to the line without giving him a backhander. And I think his turn is close again. He ran off a mark of 58 here. That's the same mark he went off last time he was here in a similar race of this. And he'll win this winter. It's sort of the saying is he's reached his level and he's reached a handicap mark.
Yeah.
Or he can do the business.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Paul. And another reason that we have to thank Paul is on our Horses to Follow video, he put up Valsalido to follow through the season, and he's already delivered at 7-2. So I really hope that you all watched and you were on Valsalido. Very nice winner. Definitely one to follow for the rest of the season. That video will be sticking around until February, when we're going to be doing our kind of transfer deadline, so to speak.
And I hope, because you're going to have to ring up the trainer. He's not the easiest to get on with, Willie Mullins, with greatest respect. He's a genius trainer. Would you please ring him up, and would you please implore that he runs Valsalido in the JLT and not the RSA, because I got 16-1 on him, and he's now 9-2 or something like that, because I think the RSA will be too far for him. I think he's not a bottom-out battler. I think he's got too much speed for the RSA. So will you please promise me for my Christmas present, I don't want anything from you from Christmas, that you ring up Mr. Mullins and have a quick word.
All works out quite nicely, Paul, because I got you in Secret Santa, so now I know what to get you. Tune in next week. We're going to be talking about the big Hong Kong races, the Vase, the Sprint, the Mile and the Cup, and also the Caspian Caviar Gold Cup, or the December Gold Cup, to purists like you and I. We'll see you then.